beautiful people. You guys have been asking for more Kicking It with Kim Jayde, and we took a break because we knew season 3 had to be really, really special. I flew 19 hours, and right now we are in Cincinnati, Ohio to shoot a very special episode of Kicking It with Kim Jayde. Today we're going to interview the founder and owner of UnheardOf, a crazy brand doing massive things on a global level with Adidas, the giant in footwear. I cannot wait to speak to Phil. You guys are going to love him as much as I do, and you're going to learn about this really special city. Let's go. This is Kicking It with Kim Jayde. Phil, thank you so much for having me to be standing here in the OG UnheardOf store in Cincinnati, Ohio with you, the founder and owner. It's a very big deal, so thank you so much.
Well, thanks for coming. It's an honor to have you in our beautiful city.
Okay, I want South Africa to get to know you and love you as much as I do. So we're gonna actually play a fun game, super chilled, icebreaker questions to get to know you and kind of get a feel about like where you stand on a bunch of things, yeah?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, amazing. Number 1, Grail sneaker.
The one I'm working on next.
What is your go-to late night snack?
Ooh, gummy bears.
Jenna Ortega or Sabrina Carpenter?
Jenna's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
She busted out this move.
Yes.
Fan favorite forever.
Big vibe. Okay,
Big vibe,
cool.
yeah.
Hot or not? Jorts.
Hot. We sell jorts all the time.
Vibe.
Not tight, but
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
the right fit.
Favorite Blink track?
Aliens exist.
Ooh. Who is your goat?
Naomi Phillips for 100 years.
Who is one celebrity that you saw wearing UnheardOf that you were like, this is mind blowing?
Adam Sandler.
See, now that's a goat to me. Like, oh my god, what was he wearing?
He came in the store, grabbed a bunch of stuff, threw it on. I believe it was just an UnheardOf hoodie, but he was here filming a Netflix documentary, and he kind of hung out for about 20 minutes until somebody recognized him, and then he grabbed the stuff and bolted. So, but Adam Sandler, yeah, it was pretty cool. And I got to chop it up with him for like 15 minutes, 2 blocks away. And then he brought some guys back in later to get the rest of his stuff that he bought. But
oof.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's a big flex. Shout out. Now, holiday destination. Victoria Falls or Cape Town?
Ooh. I really like the vibe of Victoria Falls because I really like nature. I like earth. I haven't been there, but I've definitely Googled it. And, you know, I think now that I'm getting older, I'm pulling back from the city and trying to get one with the earth. And that screams earth to me. Zebras and elephants. Yeah.
Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, we got you. Don't
bring
worry,
me out.
sure.
Bring me out.
Go.
Yeah,
we
bring
need to
me
make
out.
it happen. All right. And then, final question of our icebreaker round. Are the Springboks the greatest team in the world?
Yeah, I gotta say hands down.
Springboks.
Springboks is the best team.
The goats, shout out. We've gone from understanding your journey from skateboarding that didn't really pan out and then expressing yourself and your creativity in apparel. How do we get into footwear?
So just like I said, when I was very young, I was making the t-shirts at that same time. I was drawing shoes and coloring shoes and just constantly had this passion for shoes. I think because growing up, I never had the new Jordans or the new Air Maxes or the new whatever shoe it was of the time. I always had the hand-me-downs and the busted shoes until I became a skateboarder. Then I started getting free shoes sent to me. But I just always drew shoes. I think the first time I ever met my dad, I drew him a pair of shoes because I wanted him to take me to buy those shoes, and we didn't. We went to Costco and got some Kirkland shoes. But I just constantly always drew shoes, and when I started going to Anonymous and working on Anonymous and then taking over Anonymous, we started talking to designers and we started talking to product line managers and constantly pitching ideas of, hey, we want to do a shoe, we want to do a shoe. We have all these stories and all this significant things that happened in our city that we'd like to put on a shoe. And it was kind of like prove it, you know, like if you really want the shoe, like mock it up. So I always designed out a whole deck. I would never really go to the brand and say, hey, I have this idea, will you guys design the shoe? And say, I've always designed the shoe, made a deck, made a presentation. I've always had an apparel collection with it. I've tried to always go above and beyond that they're typically used to, just to prove to them, like, hey, I'm serious about this. Like, I really want to do this. And I would say there's probably a minimum of 6 shoes that I have submitted to brands that they all said, wow, this is amazing, this like blows our like minds, like we should make this, and then don't. So think about that. Like, you're at that table, you're having these conversations, one of them even got sampled, and it was like, the shoe doesn't come out, you know, and what do? You know, do you sit there and crumble with the pieces, or do you pick yourself back up? And I think failing over and over and not having a product come to life really just put that Cincinnati chip back on my shoulder and continue to work hard and continue to prove things wrong. So once I got the opportunity to work with Adidas, you know, it was like, hey, I have this idea, but it's only chapter 1. You know, there's more stories to this, and I want to bring them out one at a time. And at first they were a little hesitant. But as we started making specifically the shoe you're wearing, it was like sample after sample after sample. Like, Erika's went through 6 rounds of samples, which usually it only gets 1 sample. So we went through 6 rounds, and we still didn't get it 100% right, but we got it enough right that I said, okay, we can put this in production, put this out, and then soon as the order was placed, it was like, boom, here's my second idea. And they were like, whoa, slow down. Like, the first one's not, but here's the second one. And then when the second one went into order, it was like, boom, here's the third idea.
Fire. I think what's very common is the more I speak to you, the more I realize and recognize the hustler and the hungry fighter, rebel, never say no, never quit. Oh, you think you're going to tell me no? Watch me work harder to actually get it across the line. It's a story that I think so many young creatives and so many business owners, and I think specifically in the South African context, young people of color, because we actually, the creative industry, fashion, music, art, it's relatively young in comparison and not as invested in. And so our parents don't really believe that this could be a profession. I remember, I got my honors degree in social work and psychology at this prestigious university in South Africa. And when I graduated, I was like, okay, mom and dad, now I'm gonna be a model. And they said, what do you mean? Do you know what I mean? And it was like, exactly okay, you don't get it, you don't believe in it, sharp. I'm gonna make it happen, you know what I mean? And I think that consistent drive is why when you do reach these levels of success, and I know you're only gonna surpass that, but when you reach these levels of success and you're holding the final shoe, it's just that much sweeter. I wanted to start talking about the sneakers from starting with Erika's poem, because what makes your sneakers different and special is the story behind them. I think so many brands jump onto professional athletes and international rappers and this big name with these millions of followers, because they're like, followers and hype equals sales. Adidas were really, really clever in how they tapped you and said, listen, the story, we believe in it, we're giving you creative freedom. So talk to me about Erika's poem. I see we actually have them right behind us, and I have it on foot today. Big flex, shout out.
So once I got the opportunity, I really got it because an Adidas employee by the name of Greg McGowan really believed in my story, my message, and my background. And they started this whole new program, and they wanted to get into the community specifically to talk about what the community needs and how retailers and business owners connect with the community. And Greg and this amazing designer, PLM, Tony Holmes, got together, came to me privately and said, hey, we're working on this big project, but I know your story, I know your message, and we'd really love to work with you. So I immediately it just like a lightning bolt went through me, like, I gotta tell Erika's story. You talk about culture and life and what people go through in other countries, and I kind of know a little bit about that through traveling, but I've always sympathized and always felt this connection to people that just like don't believe in themselves or have this like mental problem of, you know, things are so bad they're never going to get good. And you know, unfortunately Erika didn't look like a lot of the people that you're talking about today or the people I've met in my life from being in downtown Cincinnati, but she had those same feelings. And I understood, you know, people's pain and people's messages when they talk about that, because I sympathize for what my sister had gone through. And when I got the opportunity to work with Adidas, it was like her message has to be told for all high school students. So we really focused in on her poetry, her favorite music group. So it's kind of mocked up like album artwork of her favorite music group, which was No Doubt. And, you know, we have her poetry all over the shoe, her words, her handwriting. And you know, she always loved the fact that I was a skateboarder, and she always wanted to be a skateboarder, and she used to follow me around with her friends and watch us skateboard throughout Covington. So I took a basketball shoe, which is a rivalry. I obviously wanted to rival another brand because I have that chip on my shoulder. And, you know, I patted the tongue, put the skate laces in there, and just really, you know, put our blood, sweat, and tears on the materials. And at first, I really thought Adidas was going to cancel the project, cancel me, because the first sample I got in was really bad. It was all really cheap synthetic leather. It's typically how the rivalry was made. It was made for a different department, not like a sneaker boutique or sneaker store. And I had to really push back and say, like, you know, I need the material on the shoe to be top notch. Like, we can't cut corners, we can't sacrifice. And they really had a hard time understanding it at first. And I kept saying, like, you got to understand, it's going to be the first time when we release this shoe that people are going to be kicking off their Dunks or their J's and putting on a rivalry and then putting it in their closet with their collection.
So aesthetically, it needs to be on par, if not better,
and
than what's already out there.
Absolutely. And at first I was, you know, really nervous that they weren't going to like that I kept pushing back for a better and better quality. But once the shoe got really dialed in, the North America team at Adidas, Stacy, Caroline, Tony Holmes, like, they like went to bat for me. They were like, oh, now they see it. Like a light bulb went off. And when they showed up and came to the release party, and you know, they saw 500 people kicking off Dunks and throwing on a rivalry, their minds were like blown. So Erika definitely paved the way for me once again in my life to move forward and talk about her journey.
I think it goes without saying the courage and bravery it took for you to bare your heart and talk about a conversation that to this day is still kind of taboo. Do you know what I mean? We are in a place, especially since COVID, that we are very conscious about mental health and have the conversations about depression, anxiety, and suicide. But I think you bringing it up, especially in your context, in your community, and raising awareness, actually started a greater conversation. Talk to me about how the sneaker community and how North America specifically responded and reacted to you openly discussing your, not only, you know, the suicide, but how your family, there was a little bit of drama to get it across the line and actually use her poetry. You know, how was the reaction? What kind of messages were you receiving after you put your heart and your pain into a sneaker like this?
I mean, from this family standpoint, I come from a pretty broken background that, you know, it's pretty hard to talk about. Like I said, me and Erika don't look like a lot of people, but we've had experiences like a lot of people. And one thing I've realized is when you live in poverty, it doesn't really matter what you look like, you know? Only thing that matters is getting yourself out of poverty. And telling her story and opening up about this shoe, I had so many people from all around the world messaging me privately saying like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they didn't even get the shoe, but they read the story, and they saw her poetry go up all over New York City.
Yep.
And it really sat there and made me think, like, they're realizing, hey, it's okay for me to reach out and to talk. I met a beautiful woman in New York City. Her name's Key, and she really opened up to me the last couple of months, and she's constantly been talking to me about her mental health, and she just said, like, even though like this shoe isn't a shoe that people, the rivalry specifically is a shoe that people are like lining up for and camping out for, but the second she read the story, it became her grail. And like hearing that to me is like insane, because it really is like an unheard of shoe. Most people call it a forum, and it's not a forum, it's a rivalry. So just the amount of support and people that have reached out and constantly said, like, you're making Erika's story positive in my life to reach out and talk. But I've also told multiple people, like, we also need to be better listeners too. Like, if people are going to start asking for help, and saying like, I need help, we need to listen too,
I love that. I think it's so special. I think it's genuine and sincere, and I think brave, man. I think, and I hopefully kind of putting this content out there will encourage more people to ask for help, and also encourage us that are on the receiving end as friends and family to be able to be open, non-judgmental, and understanding. And if you don't know how to get help, look up the right channels. There are platforms all over, both in America and in Africa, where people can get help. It's really sad to see the next generation that's coming up after us grew up in a completely different world to us. We never had social media. Yes, we had bullying, and yes, we had our struggles at home, but they have that, and on top of that, have to deal with cyberbullying, have to deal with trying to keep up with the Joneses, in creating a facade of a life that maybe they can't afford, maybe their family can't afford, so the added pressure to our youth that has statistically shown an increase in depression, anxiety, and suicide. So guys, if you are watching this and you need help, ask for it. I think it's amazing. I think it was a beautiful segue into the next sneaker, which is how I discovered you. And I'm so excited to tell my personal story, my connection to the UnheardOf brand. The sneaker dropped, and I am an avid follower of the major sneaker blogs. So the High Snobs and the Complexes of the world, they dropped the images of this sneaker. And I don't know if you realize or can recognize the impact that vision, the way you told the story, the way you marketed the product, the way Gran was sitting on the couch with these two boys next to her and unboxing it, and the story of your grandfather's artwork on the box. And it's just so crazy to show that regardless of the fact that we're in two separate continents from completely different backgrounds, we can relate to that. I'm saying there's people in Zimbabwe and South Africa whose grannies have the floral couch and actually have plastic on the couch so we don't dirty the couch, even though we live in it's our house. But do you know what I'm saying? It's so crazy that how that human story connects. And we saw it and we got it. And I remember DMing it to my friends. I'm like, oh, look at this content. Look at how he's telling the story. Do you know that this isn't scripted? This isn't an actress. This is actual Gran. And the fact that she was alive to be in that moment with you, like, I have goosebumps to this day because it's so impactful. And when people are like, this sneaker collector thing, it's consumer culture and it's excessive, and it's like, you don't understand how you can connect to someone from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, in Cincinnati, Ohio, through a sneaker and through telling a story. So that's how I discovered you and your brand and your product, and the story behind it is just so incredible. So kudos to you and the entire team. I know I've overhyped it, but like, can you tell me how special it was to be in that moment with your Gran, opening the sneakers, shooting the content, having a global brand like Adidas be like, this is the next shoe?
So just to clarify, we've got Grandma's couch and then my mom's ugly brown couch. But
this is the one that I saw, and I was like, oh, this is unheard of, crazy.
Grandma and Grandpa both worked on both these projects. We have Grandma's handwriting on the shoe. Grandpa's artwork on the shoe, and they were blown away. Grandma actually came to the release party, and she signed autographs and took pictures for like 3 hours.
Stop it.
Yeah, at 100 years old.
100 years old.
Yeah, and I joked with her about a month after release and came to her and I was like, hey Grandma, I mocked up another colorway. It's for Mother's Day. We're going to do it all over again. And she was like, no, my arm still hurts from signing so many autographs. But yeah, no, she was blown away. And I think, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. The whole concept of everything I work on is we need to realize we're all human beings.
100%.
And we definitely need to be kinder to one another and listen to one another better. And I feel like everything I try to work on a project is to have that human touch. You know, COVID, in my opinion, brought us together. You know, and that's a horrible thing to make us stop and realize, whoa, what are we doing to one another? We're wasting time. Let's like come together. So seeing all the exposure that Grandma got on social media, you know, it realized like a lot of good can come out of things and have that human connection all over the world. And that was 1,000,000% the goal, was just to resonate with people from all around the world. Like, if your grandma was there for you, or your auntie, or your big sister, but someone that was like that, it hit. And that's what Grandma did. And so many people came up to her at the release and just hugged on her and cried on her and just said, thank you for bringing so much joy to my life.
You felt like you knew her. You like, that's like my grand or my auntie. Do you know what I mean? It's, man. And also kudos to Adidas, man. Kudos to them for seeing it, believing in the vision, also going through multiple samples, I'm sure, to get it just right, because you're a perfectionist, OCD as hell, and for believing in it and just trusting the process. I believe you guys sold out in like crazy quick time as well. We never got any in South Africa. I'm just saying, guys, hook us up. We also want the good. I think
no, that's on Adidas.
Yeah, so. Guys. Come on, Adidas, give us more. I think, no, but to honestly give the brand credit and give it the flowers that it deserves, excuse the pun, is that Adidas globally invests in designers and brands that are local and amplifies their message in a really big way. Rich Mnisi locally has had multiple collections with the brand. Tebe Magugu, I know you actually stocked several of his
Two of his collections.
Shout out to Tebe. Look at you in Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out. I think, so shout out to the brand, man. I think it's really amazing. I also know that you've got some projects, hush. We're not going to talk about it right now, but you can watch this space.
All right, the rumors are true. There's a chapter 3 coming. Hang tight. It will be another rivalry. So thank you to Adidas Basketball. Thank you to all North America. But we're not done. We're just getting started.
Whoa! Just getting started. I think for people like you are important in our communities, because not only are you creating a safe space for your team that comes and works with you and grows with you, but you're very big on giving back. I know how much you invest in your community, in the orphanages here, in also sharing your heart and sharing your pain in order to allow others to know that it's okay and that they're not alone. And so I think, thank you just for being you. Thank you for continuing to live in your purpose unapologetically, because it allows others to do the same. Who knew you could have such a deep conversation just because of sneakers? Like, this is beautiful. And shout out to you. I cannot wait to see what comes next.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks for coming to Ohio.
Oh my God, it's so good to be here. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching Kickin' It with Kim Jayde. We out.
I know you said your favorite was Grandma's couch, but we do happen to have a special pair of Mom's ugly couches for you to take back to South Africa.
This is the plastic bag.
Of all the homies at Unheard Of, it's our honor for you to have these shoes, and we
so
thank you.
much. Like having a piece of like your family legacy and your history, and to be part of like the beginning of what's going to be a massive career in the footwear industry for you. It's just so special.